What's going on YouTube? It's krispyENT and I'm back with another YouTube video. Hey, in my last video I did do a giveaway for a Path of Exiles early access key. I just wanted to go ahead and give a shout out real quick to Miss Jade. All right, I appreciate you for liking the video and I appreciate you for dropping a comment down for what class you would like to run. And Miss Jade, if you can contact me on Twitter, Twitch, Whisper, whatever the hell it is, just get in contact with me. I got that key for you. Hey, and with that being said, I will be doing another giveaway for another key, so another person will be able to play Path of Exiles 2 early access after watching today's video. But with all that being said, man, today we got some sauce. All right, I'm gonna be going over the last build that I just dropped, but it's basically gonna be an in-game version, the finalized product. Okay, I do not have all my Ascendency points, but this thing still gets the job done. All right, I'm a level 80 demon. Okay, just powerhousing through these maps. Not really much more to say. With all that being said, let's get into the build. Okay, so moving on to the skills for this in-game build. All right, as you can see, we obviously have our quarterstaff strike, which is the base attack, DPS 7.3k. Next up, we have our ice strike, which is basically just performing a fast icy strike using this attack 3 times in quick succession, causes a final strike that is slower and more powerful. All right, attack speed, stack more attack speed on top of it. You don't even notice the difference of that third strike. Okay, as you can see, we got this at 16.4k DPS. Tempest Bail, this will be our first bailout skill. Okay, this is the skill we use when shit hits the fan, you're getting swarmed, you don't know what to do. All right, also known as the boss killer. Okay, this thing handles bosses, it handles mobs. Basically, you're dropping that bell that you see on the edge of your staff that you see dangling around. You drop that onto the ground and you just hit it. You imbue it with elements, whatever you want to do, crazy damage. All right, charge staff. This is basically imbuing your staff with electricity, okay, to deal out more damage. All right, each end of your staff will glow with electricity. You can either hit that into your bell to imbue electric shockwaves outside of the bell, or you can just simply choose to activate the charge staff and just go absolutely haywire on the enemies. One thing about the charge staff though is that it does consume power charges. Okay, so we'll get to those power charges later and you'll see how we'll be stacking those, but it will consume power charges to deal out just more damage. All right, next up, the bread and butter of the build. Okay, we got Shattering Palm. Basically, you want to start every single encounter hitting your Staggering Palm, which is why you see down here I have it on my E. It's just so easy to press. Hit your E, start your E, you dash towards the enemy, you hit them with your palm, boom, it volts a radius of ice shards on enemies' heads, and you literally do 1, 2, 3. Hit them once, hit them twice, maybe even on that third one. It'll take maybe even 3 times. They're just gonna shatter, completely obliterate. Match this up with Herald of Ice right under it. While active, shattering an enemy with an attack, it will cause an icy explosion that deals attack damage to surrounding enemies. This is just, it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, I can even put another slot here, but I've been moving on to other builds, man. This thing is going to get you guys well taken care of. All right, now as for those power charges that I mentioned earlier, okay, we got Combat Frenzy right here. Okay, so as you can see, while active, grant you a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. This build is nothing but freezing. Okay, so every single time I freeze an enemy, I'm getting a frenzy charge. Okay, if we back up out of this and go to our passive tree really quick, move on up, come right here. As you can see, we pair this up with Resonance. Every time we gain a frenzy charge, we're getting an endurance charge. But what happens every time we gain an endurance charge? We gain a power charge. Okay, what happens when we gain a power charge? Instead, we get a frenzy. But what happens when you gain, you see, it's just a non-stop cycle. You're always getting power charges back. All right, this completes the loop full circle. Okay, this is how you just non-stop binge your power charges. All right, so now as for our second bailout skill, Falling Thunder. Okay, consider this a panic button. When shit hits the fan and you have maxed out power charges, this will consume your power charges and just completely just a wave of lightning, you know, and just completely clear anything. You know, it is ridiculous. I'll have some footage up on screen now, but you'll see that shit hit the fan, I hit that button, all right, and I was a free man. I walked away untouched, unscathed, you know what I'm saying? But all right, now we're gonna get into like just some kind of play around skills. These are things that I personally like to use. My homies actually put me onto this ghost dance when it helped a lot more with survivability into these higher in-game maps. But let's start out with Elemental Invocation. Okay, this is kind of a lot, but not really. Okay, so basically what this is every time you're attacking enemies, freezing enemies, just like any type of elemental damage on enemies, you're gaining energy. Okay, when you stack that energy to a certain number, you're able to trigger an effect, not an effect, but a spell when you hit that certain level of energy. To break it down even better, you'll see that I hit 100% up in the top left corner, and I'm able to activate my button for my elemental invocation. It'll be grayed out until it's ready to be activated, and that will activate everything that I have underneath elemental invocation. Okay, so you'll put spells within here. Okay, you can obviously put support too, but you'll put spells, and those spells will activate whenever you have enough energy for it to activate. Only thing difference about elemental invocation and things like cast on freeze or cast on shock, cast on ignite is that those activate automatically. Elemental invocation you have to activate manually by yourself, which is why you see me have it right here on my right click. So when I get a certain amount of energy and then I activate it, I have a comment that comes down and just completely freezes or obliterates anything in the area. I have voltaic mark, which basically marks the target, making them more susceptible to being shocked. When the marked target dies, a lightning nova erupts from their corpse. All right, this thing in later end games, I'm pretty sure it like matches up with my area effect, because like when I get this explosion, they basically obliterate everything in the area. It's kind of crazy. It's a small explosion, but within that radius, everything dies. It's absurd. And then as you can see, I have on impetus, which is you gain 40% increased energy. So I'm actually kind of getting these back at a 40% much faster rate than I would without that support gem. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that I really like. I'm still experimenting with it. It's really fun. I love this ability. You know what I'm saying? And now for the last thing, like this kind of completed the build for me. When I put this ghost dance on right here, this is what made me like, okay, this is like somewhat finalized. I think this is ready to go. I can move on. I'm starting my warrior build. You know what I'm saying? So as you know, warrior build is up next on the channel. You feel me? So stay tuned for that. So you periodically gain ghost shrouds. If you're hit while you have a ghost shroud, it is immediately consumed to recover energy shield based on your evasion. Okay, so when you're running the monk, you stack evasion. All right, even to the point to where your evasion now contributes to your spirit, and however much evasion you have, more evasion, more spirit. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that requires spirit, as well as elemental invocation requires spirit. You've got cast on ice, cast on freeze, cast on shock that requires spirit. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big deal. And when hit, you consume a ghost shroud to recover your energy shield equal to 5% of your evasion. So the more evasion you have, the more energy shield you recover when you get hit and it consumes a ghost shroud. All right, so it's basically just another like layer of security when pushing these in-game maps. You know what I'm saying? Hey, real quick, for this giveaway, it's going to be kind of the same thing. All right, just need you to drop a like on the video. Let me know down in the comments below what class you would like to run if you got early access to this game. All right, I'm giving away 1 key. All you gotta do is like the video. Let me know down below what class you would like to run if you got the game. All right, do that real quick. All right, now on to my support gems. As you can see, for Ice Strike, I am running Heft, which is 30% more maximum physical damage. I am running Martial Tempo, which supported skills have 25% more attack speed, which is the attack speed I was telling you about, and the skill itself comes with 10% more, so that's already 35. And then we got Primal Armament, which is supported skills do 25% more elemental damage. Okay, so this is perfect for Ice Strike. You know, I don't see anything wrong with this. Next up, we got our Tempest Bell support skills. For our first support skill, we got Super Critical. All right, this is 100% increased critical damage bonus at a hit of 20% less critical hit chance, which is fine. Said in my last video, we gather that crit hit chance even more in our passive skill tree. All right, Font of Mana is our second support skill gem. This basically drops a area of mana, you know what I'm saying, which grants 40% increased mana regeneration rate to not only you but your allies as well every time I drop my bell. Okay, so this is perfect. Then we got Overabundance, which is plus another limit to our bells with a 50% less skill effect duration. And with it being level 17, that duration is not that bad. Okay, bell duration 6 seconds. Just keep hitting it, you know what I'm saying? Drop another bell. Next up, for the first support gem for our charge staff, we have Perpetual Charge. Supported skills have 35% chance to not remove charges, but it still counts as consuming them. So if you have maxed out charges, you have a 35% chance to activate your charge staff, get all of the buffs from that, or if things hit the fan, you now have that damage boost from your charge staff, and you have Falling Thunder to activate if you get swarmed. Next up, we have Persistence. This is supported skills have 40% more skill effect duration. Okay, so you activate your charge staff, you get your charge staff for longer, which means if you activate it on full power charges boost, you get that power damage boost for even longer. And after that, our last support gem is Arcane Tempo. This is supported skills have 25% more cast speed. So you do an animation every time you cast the charge staff. This basically just makes it to where you're flickering your staff and it immediately comes on. You know, it's almost immediate. Onto our Shattering Palm, we have Blind. This is 100% chance to blind enemies on hit. So if you're diving into a crowd, if you dash to an entire crowd and basically putting yourself into the middle of it, you'll have room to move around, because as soon as you hit that enemy, you're blinding them, you know, and it's also a radius. So every enemy that the ice shard goes on their head, it's blinding them as well. It's pretty dope. And next up we got code mastery, which is a +1 to level of supported code skills. Okay, so all my supported code skills, this is the +1 level to them. All right, for our first support gem of Herald of Ice, we have magnified effect. This is basically a 40% more area of effect. This all ties into when you're shattering those enemies, the staggering palm, all of the ice skills. This is basically increasing that area of effect, that AoE. You kill one enemy that's by you, you end up fucking killing the enemy that's at the end of the crowd. You know what I'm saying? So next up we have elemental focus. This is basically supported skills do 25% more elemental damage, but it cannot inflict ailments. Okay, so a lot of people are going to be confused about this, but since this is the Herald of Ice buff, this is not meant to freeze the enemy. This is meant to finish the enemy off. Okay, so I want that more elemental damage. I don't want to apply the ailment, which is literally just freezing them. I want the damage from cold. See what I'm saying? Those are two different things in this game that a lot of people probably don't know about. All right, so really pay attention when you're messing around with these gems. And for our last support gem on Herald of Ice, we have cannibalism. 4% of life recovered on kill while a supported skill is active. All right, and this is basically active at all times, as you can see with the rotation of that little whatever the hell. All right, moving on down to combat frenzy. Our first support gem is profusion. This is a 50% chance to grant an additional charge for our power charges. That's a W. And for our second one, we're running vitality. Regenerate 1% of life per second while a supported skill is active. So we always have a 1% of life per second while this is active. All right, so moving on to falling thunder. Our first supported gem is coursing current. Shocking hits from supported skills have 50% chance to also shock enemies in a 2.5 meter radius. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you shock an enemy, they are immobilized. They stand still. They cannot hit you. They cannot do anything. You know, so this build is just, it's coming full circle in terms of you have control on the battlefield. All right, mob control, bosses, it does not matter. You can handle them. All right, only thing that sucks is that you're melee, so you have to get in there and you have to get busy. All right, our second support gem, inevitable critical. Supported skills gain 25% increased critical hit chance each second, up to 100%. This critical hit chance is lost whenever a skill supported by inevitable critically hits. Mouthful, but pretty simple. Moving on to our last one, we have acceleration. Supported skills have 40% more projectile speed. All right, so my shockwaves of lightning are basically going to be going to hit the enemies, and they're going to spread out much more faster at a 40% more faster rate than they would without this support gem. For our last two skills, elemental invocation, the first support gem is our comet. Okay, this is a big ass ice fucking shard that comes from the sky and just hits the ground basically, you know, and it envelops the ground in icy ground as well, dealing that much cold damage. You know, on top of that, when I activate this, I have voltaic mark. Okay, this is gonna mark the enemy that it hits, you know, and then when that enemy blows up, they're gonna release like a shock wave that kind of kills everything in the area. It's pretty dope. These are activating at the same time, so my comet's coming down if it's like on a boss or a rare. My comet's coming down right on them to immediately just stun them, just hit them upside the face like, yo, I'm here. You know, they have the mark on them now, so when I kill them, if there's more mobs forming around them, the moment I kill that big boss or wherever has the mark on them, everything around them is dead. And as you guys seen before, I have impetus, which is 40% increased energy rate. All right, so I'm gaining my energy to activate these two skills at a much faster rate, 40% rate to be exact. All right, and our last skill, Ghost Dance. This thing right here, man. All right, so our first skill gem, we have herbalism, 30% increased recovery from life flasks while a supported skill is active. All right, so on top of me having another layer of protection, I'm also gaining another 30% increased recovery from my life flasks if things hit the fan and I do end up having to pop my hotkey to, you know what I'm saying, drink my flask and get more health. Onto our second support gem, we got clarity, 30% increased mana regeneration rate while the supported skill is active. All right, so on top of life recovery from flask, I'm getting mana regeneration while this is activated at all times too. And as you can see right here, I have 4 ghost shrouds ready. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Oh look, somebody on trade with me. Hold on, let me go do that real quick. And for our last support gem, we have supported skills have 30% less skill effect duration. All right, so that's gonna do it for our support gems. On all of our skills, let's go ahead and get into our gear. All right, so onto my quarterstaff stacking. Physical damage is very, very, very important because you got to remember with your ice strike skill, you're going to be converting 80% of that physical damage to cold damage. All right, so stacking physical damage is very, very, very important. As you can see, I've got physical damage like as much as I possibly can on here, as well as elemental damage, you know, and then the cold damage on top of that too. Any other stat you could play around with, I'm obviously going to go for attack speed, as well as maybe getting some life and mana back per enemy hit or kill, doesn't matter, you know. So that's it for the staff. I don't necessarily want to talk over all my gear, so I'm gonna probably take about 10-15 seconds to just go through, hover over, let you guys see the stats, and then we'll get on to the next part of the video. As for the passives and Ascendency, as you can see, I still only have 4 Ascendency points. I haven't really been doing trials too much. Like I said, I want to keep progressing, get more characters out of the way, but I chose the top route. Okay, I chose to have more survivability, more evasion, more max energy shield, as well as armor, you know. But I do have 2 of my other homies, Cold Boy and Z. These guys went and did the Unbound Avatar, and their damage is even crazier than mine. So, you know, I might even be on some respect type of time in here, you know what I'm saying, just to see what's going on. But as for my passives, yeah, here's I don't want to really go over too much of it. As you guys know, the resonance is a must. Okay, you need this on if you want to run Combat Frenzy to be able to stack non-stop stack your power charges. It's very smart of you to come down here. Y'all don't forget your jewel sockets, but it's very smart for you to come down and do the actual tree for your weapon that you have. So for my quarterstaff, as you can see, I did all the ones at the bottom and then kind of left one out, which is the critical hit chance. I might want to actually respect that and put that one in there. But yeah, it's my passive skill tree right here. Let you guys see the top. See if I can fit it all in here. Yeah, there you go. All right, and that's gonna do it for the build. Hey, make sure to stay in tune with the giveaway. All right, and also stay in tune with the next build. I'm working on a warrior right now. I'm gonna do a leveling build as well as an in-game build right after that, and we're just gonna keep on going right down the line. All right, hey, with all that being said, it's krispyENT, and I'm up out of here. Y'all stay blessed.